Hi and welcome back. Today I'm answering a question I received in the comments on my channel about what to do when you're manifesting an SP and a new story in regards to relationships. What do you do in terms of holding that new story in the face of the old story and old beliefs and old relationship patterns? So that's what I want to talk about today. Stick around. My name is Hedley Derenzie. I'm a qualified life coach, adult educator, and author. I am also super passionate about the amazing teachings of the law of assumption as originally taught by the wonderful Neville. It is the stories we tell that create our life. So if you want to change your life, you need to know how to tell new stories. And if you want to create an amazing life, then you need to be able to tell amazing stories. And that's why I'm here. I want to tell myself amazing stories and I want to help you to do the same. If you would like further support, you don't need it, but if you'd like it, I am available for one-on-one coaching and also email coaching. And if you'd just like to stay connected, you can do that on my socials. I'll put all those details in the box below. Okay, so I just want to read out the question that I received in the comments. It's a great question. I myself am working on this in my own life. So the question is, can you please make a video about when you're shifting into a new reality, but some of the old negative thoughts and doubts pop up from the old story, specifically about an SP and old failed relationship patterns? Do these random thoughts, doubts manifest? How do we persist through them to ensure we're living in the new story more and not falling back into the old story or patterns? Thank you so much. Okay, so firstly, we are not shifting into a new reality. That is not what we're doing here. We are shifting into a new consciousness. Consciousness is the one and only reality, and then the outer reality reflects back the consciousness. We can become blindsided by reality, or we can become mesmerized, is probably a better word. We become mesmerized by reality and we forget that reality is just reflecting back our consciousness. And often it's in love relationships where most people have a lot of the most negative stories and old stories running, because that's just where most of the wounding lies. And so that is often where the juiciest parts of this work shows up, because it is in our intimate partners that really reflect back those old stories. And so when we are manifesting a new relationship and new relationship patterns, we need to be aware that we are up against a story that's been embedded in our subconscious for a very long time, And that's what we're up against when we are creating a new story. It's not that we can't overcome that. It just means that sometimes relationships and changing those old patterns and creating new ones can take a little bit longer, and can actually bring up some of those old stories. Essentially because, our parents, they are the source of our love in the very beginning. So we learn about love through our parents. So if our parents didn't have enough a healthy upbringing themselves, then they're going to pass on those old stories that they had, that were passed on from their parents, that were passed on from their parents, and just got passed down the line because no one actually questioned their stories. No one questioned their reality. So a lot of stories just get passed down to us by well-intentioned adults who just didn't know better. But those stories did get embedded. They are deep within our subconscious. So we just want to be really gentle and compassionate with ourselves as we go through this process of changing relationship patterns and revising old stories and creating new stories, especially when it comes to relationships. So it's really important to be as gentle and as understanding and compassionate with ourselves as we can. So that's probably the first thing. So as we create the consciousness and we become aligned with this consciousness of being in relationship, and this has happened in my experience, is that person can then show up and they're saying all the right things, they're doing all of the right things, and you're like, oh shit, this works, this is amazing. And what can happen, and certainly what I experienced happening, is that yes, those negative thoughts and those doubts do arise. They come up, and they come up for a reason, because we want them to come up, because we need to know that they're there so that we can rewrite them. So they're nothing to be afraid of. Reality is nothing to be afraid of. You are not in a battle with your reality. Reality is feedback, and it is telling you the quality of your consciousness. And so if something unfavorable is happening in your relationship, that's nothing to be afraid of. That's just feedback of to where your consciousness is and the stories that are living in your subconscious and that are active and are still running. And that's awesome. We want that because we want them to come up and out so we can see them. We can hold them in the light of day and go, is that working in my favor? Is that a story that I want to keep persisting with in my imagination so that it keeps showing up in my reality? Chances are no, we don't. But we wouldn't have known it if this person didn't bring it up in us or didn't say something that triggered that old story or those doubts to come up. So it's really actually a good thing. That person in front of us is a reflection of our consciousness. They are helping us, even in the most unfavorable ways, to raise the quality of our consciousness. We can't change what we don't know is there. So we want to be able to see these doubts and negative thoughts so that we can rewrite them and rechange them. Do these random thoughts, doubts manifest? Yes, absolutely, they can. We are so powerful, and consciousness or reality is very impersonal. It will respond to exactly what the order is. So if you put, I remember a book I read when I was very young. Actually, the very first book that got me on this path was by Stuart Wilde and was called Miracles. I read it when I was 14 years old. He was really onto this back then. And I remember reading that book going, oh my God, this is amazing. You mean that I am the creator of reality based on the thoughts that I think? And I remember in the book, I don't know the exact paragraph or the sentence, but he said, light will light up both a church and a brothel. It doesn't matter. Light is impersonal. And it's the same with reality. It will simply reflect back exactly what the subconscious pushes out. It does not care in that sense of whether it's favorable or not, or whether we'll like it or not, or whether it's positive or negative. It's responding entirely to the consciousness that we are projecting outwards. Reality is just a reflection of consciousness. So it will reflect back exactly what is in your consciousness. So if you have negative thoughts and doubts, a negative story running, it will reflect that back. But as I said before, that's a great thing, because then you know that you have a negative story that needs to be revised and rewritten so that it doesn't keep playing out and doesn't keep you in the old relationship patterns. So again, there's no need to be afraid of reality now. In the past, I was really sort of like constantly, I felt like I was walking on eggshells, like in my relationships, because I didn't want anything bad to happen. And it's, you know, of course that didn't work. But now, and I just had something recently happen where this situation unfolded, which was really unfavorable and kind of really came out of the blue. And I was just like, wow, I didn't know that was still going on. I didn't know that story was playing on in my consciousness. And it was a case of like holding myself through that. And then once I was able to steady and stabilize myself, I was then able to go back and look at the consciousness and look at the story that I have running that got reflected back to me by this person. And then I can rewrite it and continue working on that new story and embedding that story. So it's not a bad thing when these unfavorable situations come up in your relationship with your SP. Your SP is there to reflect back the quality of your consciousness. So if they're reflecting back good things, awesome. You still want to do the work. You never not want to do the work, because these doubts, these things do creep in, and yeah, they will absolutely manifest. So it is important to keep the faith, to have the new story as your dominant story that you're focused on with your imagination, so that new story is where you are putting your energy and attention, knowing that reality follows consciousness. It will catch up. But in the meantime, yes, there will be times where reality is revealing the old story, and the old story is coming up so we can let it go, so we can move it out of the system and replace it with the new story. And so we're just responding to reality. We're not reacting to it. We're looking at it from a place of feedback, from a position of the observer. We are looking at our reality and looking at it going, what is my reality teaching me about my consciousness? and what do I need to continue to keep working on and keep embedding, and what do I need to change here? What is this person saying that I don't like, that's unfavorable, that is revealing something that's within me, because no one to change but self. So that is where the growth is, and that's why I love relationships. They're such a rich container in which to really expand and grow and raise our consciousness and improve our storytelling in regards to ourselves and to the other person and to the topic of relationships. Because I know for myself, I've had a very negative story playing about myself, and then also a negative story playing about, in my case, it's men, and then also the whole relationship. That's based on my experience. Of course, I have those stories because that's what was, that's what was being reflected back to me in my childhood when I didn't know about this stuff. So that's probably, I hope that helps. I'll probably leave it there. And if you have any questions or you would like to request a video on a topic, feel free to put it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. But yeah, don't be afraid of your reality. It is only reflecting back your consciousness. It is your friend. Make friends with it, welcome it, be curious by it, and learn from it. Okay, that's all I wanted to share. I hope you found this useful. Feel free to share with family and friends and subscribe to my channel if you would like, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.